Well, welcome back to the Isle of Man, Nigel, and what's the reception been like?
I was here in 2014. Gosh, a lot's happened since then, hasn't it? With the rise of UKIP, the referendum being forced, the winning of the referendum, and then 2.5 years of, well, I'm sorry to say, delay and frustration. The mood in there is, it's of people who were exhilarated by the referendum, what it meant for the UK, the relationship with the Isle of Man, the wider world, but I think a sense of frustration about where we are.
And particular frustration here on the Isle of Man because we didn't get a chance to vote in the referendum.
I know, and that's a real issue because actually EU law affects you hugely, you know, Protocol 3, all the rest of it. And of course, every single piece of financial services law that comes from the European Union, we as the UK have to force upon you. And I think there's a sense of, I got today in Douglas in the streets, a sense of injustice that you're affected by this stuff and you had no say. And there is, I have to say, something wrong about that.
Hugely affected. There were some protesters outside. I don't know if you noticed those at the start of the evening.
I'd be very upset if there weren't any. If I don't get protesters, if I'm not getting an objection, then clearly I'd be irrelevant. Look, of course there are protesters. Of course there are people who take the Trotskyite view of the world. You know, their view is that the European Union is the prototype for a form of global government. These people don't respect democracy. They abhor the referendum result of 2016. Well, let them have their protest. I couldn't care less.
Have the Isle of Man government engaged with you at all? They must have known you were coming today.
Not on this trip. In the past they have, to be fair. In the past they have. On this trip they haven't, but, you know, that's fine.
Does it disappoint you that they haven't?
No, listen, that's up to them. They can come and see me in Brussels anytime they like. And, of course, the Isle of Man government do come to Brussels and do have, and I've seen them many times in my years there in the European Parliament.
And if we take ourselves back a few years, you're very much the man that's got us in the position where we are because UKIP got to 20+% in the polls, frightened David Cameron into offering the referendum as his way out to try and keep the Tory party together. You presumably picked that up and wear it as a badge of honour.
Oh, absolutely. But it wasn't just the Tory party, because this is the funny thing. We must not think of Euroscepticism as being purely a right-wing thing. Actually, the 5 million people who voted for Corbyn also voted for Brexit. This issue is bigger than any normal left-right lines in politics. And it's actually the whole global debate. It's happening in America with Trump against the Democrats. It's happening in Italy, Germany, France. You know, do you want the globalist view, which is decisions get made at a higher level by people much cleverer than we are? Or should we, as ordinary folk in nation-states, make our own decisions?
And just take ourselves back to the night of June the 23rd, 2016, when you conceded and unconceded, conceded and unconceded.
Well, that's a little bit unfair. You know, I mean, I have to say, I don't think I made big mistakes in the campaign, but maybe at 1 minute past 10 by saying, look, I don't know who's won, maybe they, you know, it wasn't a concession, but it was read as such. I didn't know, none of us knew. You know, we'd run a race. I sensed it was a photo finish. I was mentally preparing myself for the worst. Once I heard the Sunderland result, I felt a lot better.
Did you imagine then that 2.5 years later we'd be in this quagmire?
No. No, I didn't. I mean, I knew there'd be a battle, but little did I know that as March the 29th approached, nearly 3 years after the vote, it's still uncertain whether we're actually going to leave or whether there could be an extension. I think it's an absolute failure of leadership, and I think it shows that the very gap that exists between the governors and the governed that the Brexit vote showed is even wider now than it was back on the day of the referendum. Yeah,
there's a massive disconnect. There's not even along political lines, which means in a sense your job just isn't done, is it?
No, I'll never be allowed. I'll never be given any peace, whatever I do. Look, my position is very simple. I was a businessman. I came into politics for this cause, this issue. I felt it was the most important thing of our time. I genuinely thought when 498 MPs voted for Article 50 that we'd done it. I did actually think that we'd done it. Now I realise we may not have done it, and I begin to wake up some mornings thinking, perhaps I haven't yet fought my biggest battle. I tell you what, if they want to take me on again, I'm ready for them.
And would that mean maybe forming a new political party? Because you've got UKIP to where it was. We're only in the transition stage. We've then got the long-term agreement to sort out. This is just going to run on and on and on.
Whatever it takes.